Welcome to Foundation Home Learning. This is a foundation unit appropriate for children learning from home during this extended school closure. It is designed to provide learning opportunities for primary age children and will help to develop their ability within the national curriculum within science, history, art and geography. This is lesson number 4 in the series. Please listen along, pause the video when necessary, and listen out for the task appropriate for your age and ability. To be prepared for today's lesson, make sure you have something to write with and your home learning book. Follow along with the video and be sure to pause when you've been given a task to complete. You will know when to pause when you see the symbol in the bottom corner of the screen. Today's learning objective is to examine the lives of different explorers. The Spanish explorer Christopher Columbus set out on his historic voyage across the Atlantic Ocean in search of a passage to China and India. Instead, he discovered North and South America, which eventually led to European colonization of these newly discovered continents. His expeditions were the first European contact with the Caribbean, Central America and South America.
Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer, navigator, and colonist who completed 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean. He is remembered as the principal European discoverer of the Americas, and he helped to bring the Americas to the forefront of the Western consciousness. Welcome to our animated show of history, How Christopher Columbus Discovered America. Columbus was a believer in the spherical nature of the world. As an ambitious man, he hoped to find a Western trade route to the lucrative spice markets in Asia. Rather than sailing east, he thought sailing west would lead to countries like Japan and China. Christopher went to sea at the age of 10. At the age of 22, he participated in several trading voyages in the Mediterranean seas. His first voyage into the Atlantic Ocean in 1476 nearly cost him his life, as the commercial fleet he was sailing with was attacked by French privateers off the coast of Portugal. His ship was burned and Columbus had to swim to the Portuguese shore. He made his way to Lisbon, Portugal, where he eventually settled and married Felipa Perestreo. The couple had one son, Diego, around 1480. His wife died soon after, and Columbus moved to Spain. He had a second son, Fernando, who was born out of wedlock in 1488 with Beatriz Enriquez de Arana. Columbus' first voyage was in 1492. Columbus departed from Palos de la Frontera with 3 ships. Columbus first sailed to the Canary Islands, which belonged to Castile, then departed from San Sebastián de la Gomera in a 5-week voyage across the Atlantic Ocean. The ships made landfall, not in Asia as Columbus assumed, but on one of the Bahamian islands in October. Columbus explored the northeast coast of Cuba, where he had landed on October 28th. At first he thought it was already the Asian continent, but seeing that there were no major cities or civilizations, but small villages of primitive natives, they decided to continue sailing in search of the continent. 3 months later, Columbus made his last stop of this voyage in the New World, in the Bay of Rincón in northwest Hispaniola. The problem was the almost 100 crew members could not fit into the 2 small caravels to return to Castile. Columbus decided to leave 40 men behind in a makeshift settlement on Hispaniola and return to Spain. Columbus and his remaining crew came home to a hero's welcome when they returned to Spain. He showed off what he had brought back from his voyage to the monarchs. The monarchs quickly put the legal machinery in place to legitimize these discoveries and ordered Columbus to begin the preparations of the second journey, all ready to colonize these territories. On September 24, 1493, he set sail from Cádiz, Spain, for the second voyage with 2 naus and 15 caravels. About 2 months later, Christopher Columbus landed on a rugged shore on an island that he named Dominica. About 2 weeks passed when Columbus returned to Hispaniola. He established a new settlement at La Isabela on the north coast of Hispaniola, where gold had first been found. He spent some time exploring the interior of the island for gold. He left Hispaniola on April 24, 1494, and arrived at the island of Juana, Cuba, and Discovery Bay, Jamaica, weeks later. He explored the island, which he believed to be a peninsula of China. After staying for a time on the western end of present-day Haiti, he finally returned to Spain. On May 30, 1498, Columbus left the port of Sanlúcar, Spain, with a fleet of 6 ships. After a very hard journey with epidemics among the sailors, they reached Trinidad Island on July 31st, discovered the mouth of Orinoco River, and touched for the first time continental land in the northern part of present-day Venezuela. He then touched the mainland of South America at the Paria Peninsula. He also speculated that the new continent might be the location of the biblical Garden of Eden. He then sailed to the islands of Chacachacare and Margarita. He cited Tobago and Grenada. He described the new lands as belonging to a previously unknown new continent, but he pictured it hanging from China, bulging out to make the earth pear-shaped. In poor health, Columbus returned to Hispaniola on the 19th of August, only to find that many of the Spanish settlers of the new colony were in rebellion against his rule, claiming that Columbus had misled them about the supposedly bountiful riches of the New World. Columbus was eventually forced to make peace with the rebellious colonists on humiliating terms. On March 14, 1502, Columbus made a fourth voyage with strict orders from the king and queen, which instructed him not to stop at Hispaniola, but only to search for a westward passage to the Indian Ocean mainland. A month later, they landed at Car Bay on the island of Martinique, where a storm wrecked one of his ships, stranding the captain and his sailors on the island of Cuba. During this time, local islanders, tired of the Spaniards' poor treatment and obsession with gold, refused to give them food. In a spark of inspiration, Columbus consulted an almanac and devised a plan to punish the islanders by taking away the moon. On February 29, 1504, a lunar eclipse alarmed the natives enough to re-establish trade with the Spaniards. A rescue party finally arrived, sent by the royal governor of Hispaniola in July, and Columbus and his men were taken back to Spain in November of 1504. Christopher Columbus died in 1506 in Valladolid, Spain, without overcoming the obstacle of the American continent and fulfilling his dream of reaching the Indies. However, Columbus's expeditions inaugurated a period of exploration, conquest, and colonization that lasted for centuries, helping create the modern Western world. He was widely venerated in the centuries after his death. Thanks for watching, and please check out our other animations on history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Lieutenant James Cook leaves the port of Portsmouth, England, on a voyage to observe a transit of the planet Venus across the Sun. During this, and 2 voyages to follow, Cook would explore and map the Pacific Ocean. He is the first person to use a chronometer to accurately determine his longitude at sea.
This year, it's the 250th anniversary of Captain Cook's first voyage to the Pacific Ocean. Captain Cook and his crew crossed the South Pacific and were the first Europeans to sail all the way around New Zealand and set foot on the eastern coast of Australia. Cook drew up the first accurate maps of these places and kept detailed logs of his journeys. James Cook was born in the village of Marton near Middlesbrough in North Yorkshire in 1728, the son of a Scottish farm labourer. When he was a teenager, he took a job in a shop in Staithes on the coast nearby and fell in love with the sea. At 18, he joined the Merchant Navy and later, in 1755, signed up with the Royal Navy and fought during the 7 Years' War between Britain and France. His skills at charting, surveying, and creating large, accurate maps impressed senior admirals in the Navy, and some of his maps were published. In 1768, the Royal Society, a group that promotes scientific research, organised an expedition to the Pacific Ocean, and Cook was put in charge. His ship was the HMS Endeavour. Cook's crew left Plymouth on August the 26th, 1768. The Endeavour sailed round the world from east to west, round Cape Horn and west across the Pacific to Tahiti. Their first goal was to observe the planet Venus as it passed across the Sun and calculate the distance between the Sun and Earth. But Cook's secret mission was to sail on and find the unknown Great Southern Continent, Terra Australis Incognita. They left Tahiti in search of the southern continent in August 1769. They sailed round New Zealand, mapping the country and the 2 islands, north and south, for the first time. In New Zealand, they traded with Maori warriors to get fresh supplies. The warriors had tattoos on their faces, and some of the crew got tattoos on their bodies and arms, and started a tradition that continues today. In 1770, they headed further west, charting the southeastern coast of Australia and the Great Barrier Reef. They landed at Botany Bay, the first Europeans ever to set foot in this part of Australia. Here, Cook and his crew met the native Aborigines, who'd lived in the country for thousands of years. The English crew and the Aborigines traded goods. The scientists on board also discovered and recorded all kinds of interesting plants and animals, including the kangaroo. Captain Cook and his crew finally returned home to England in July 1771, 3 years after they'd left. Captain Cook then embarked on 2 more epic voyages that made his name. On his second journey from 1772 to 1775, he took 2 ships, the Adventure and the Resolution, and went round the world from west to east, via Cape Town in South Africa, again searching for the mysterious southern continent, and travelling further south than any other European explorer. They were the first known to have crossed the Antarctic Circle, and visited many Pacific islands for the first time, including Easter Island, now part of Chile. On his return to England, Cook was greeted as a national hero. Now the admirals in charge of the Royal Navy wanted to find a shortcut from the Atlantic to the Pacific through the Arctic waters north of Canada. So in 1776, Captain Cook set sail in search of the Northwest Passage. He and his crew travelled across the South Indian Ocean, stopping off at Kerguelen Island, home to thousands of penguins and seals. Cook's ships then travelled north to the Hawaiian Islands, then headed along the American and Alaskan coast, looking for inlets that might lead to the Northwest Passage. They got as far as the Arctic Circle, but the icy waters forced them back south to Hawaii to spend the winter. Cook and his crew were welcomed back by more than 1,000 canoes, and they were invited to celebrate with the local people. But things went wrong after a British boat was stolen, and Cook tried to arrest the Hawaiian chief. A fight developed, and several people were killed, including Captain Cook. Captain Cook is considered one of the greatest navigators and explorers in history, accurately mapping huge areas of the globe, discovering new species of plants and animals, and recording the customs of the communities he met all over the world.
Hollywood director James Cameron became the first person to perform a solo dive to the bottom of the Marine Trench, the deepest point in the ocean. Cameron dives nearly 7 miles and reaches a depth of 35,756 feet. He spends 3 hours filming on the bottom of the trench before returning to the surface. Early years, here's your main task of today's lesson. With your home teacher, name the different things you might see when you explore the ocean. Think about the different things you have seen in today's lesson. You can also use the pictures on the slide to help you. Then, in your home learning book, draw these and label them. Remember to use your letter sounds to sound out each letter in the word. Year 1 and 2, here's your main task. With your home teacher, choose an ocean explorer either from the video or one of your own and pretend you are them and you are going on your first journey. Write a diary entry answering the questions below. Where are you going? Why are you going there? What do you think you will find? And what will you take with you? Here's a little challenge. Can you tell me some interesting facts about your chosen explorer? Here's an example of a diary entry for Christopher Columbus to help you. Dear Diary, today I will set sail across the Atlantic Ocean to find a route to China and India. This will make it easier to trade with other countries. While we are at sea, we might find new lands or even new sea creatures. As it is a long journey, I have bought some books to read and a picture of my family as I will miss them the most. Year 3 and 4, here's your main task. In your home learning book, create a timeline and place the 3 explorers from the lesson in chronological order and add one more of your choice. Then, choose an explorer either from the video or one of your own and create a biography by researching facts. Use the success criteria below to support your learning. Here's your success criteria. Where and when was your explorer born? How did they become an explorer? Where did they explore? Why did they explore these places? What did they find? And what did they use to explore these places? And finally, Year 5 and 6, here's your main task. In your home learning book, create a timeline and add 3 explorers from the lesson in chronological order and add 6 more of your choice. Then, choose an ocean explorer either from the video or one of your own and create a biography by researching facts. Use the success criteria below to support your learning. Here's your success criteria. Where and when was your explorer born? How did they become an explorer? Where did they explore? Why did they explore these places? What did they find? What did they use to explore these places? And finally, how has this explorer's discoveries changed the world today? The purpose of a biography is to give an account of someone's life. It's important to open with an attraction-grabbing introduction that summarises the main events of the person's life and makes the audience want to read on. Key events are written in chronological order. This means in the order that they happened. Early life, family, home and influences help the audience to understand the person. Use relevant images and captions for interest. And make sure you conclude with what they are doing now or how they will be remembered. This slide has many more supporting resources to help you when writing your biography. To support your learning further, you may want to use our new Ocean topic page on the school website, which has many links to other videos and websites that you could use to further research ocean pollution. So how have you done? Time to share your work with the class. Read your work out to your home teacher, but don't forget to check for spelling and punctuation mistakes and that you've completed all of the success criteria for today's task. Well done everybody. That's the end of lesson 4. Be sure to join us again in the next lesson.